Thanks.
Ahab has now devoted his life to shooting elephants and using their ivory tusks to fashion prosthetic legs for less fortunate amputees. Doyle Redland for The Onion Radio News.
KCAA is your CNBC News affiliate. We're the station that gets down to business.
Welcome to The Mortgage Voice with Jeff Barton, your voice in the mortgage industry. Each week on this program, Jeff and his guests share their expertise, personal anecdotes, and the latest industry news to keep you in the loop. Now, to provide you with insight and help you navigate the consistently changing world of real estate lending, here is your host for The Mortgage Voice, Jeff Barton.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jeff Barton, your voice in the mortgage industry. 888-713-2929. That's the telephone number. If you pick up the phone and give us a call, you can get answers to your questions. What are those questions? How am I going to get a mortgage? Can I afford a mortgage? Can I afford the house that I'm trying to buy? I'm trying to refi and take some money out because I got some medical problems, or maybe I want to put my son or daughter or grandchildren through college. There are all kinds of reasons that you need money that are terrific. It's not like the old days where you just take money out this month because you know next month the prices are going to go up another 10% and you can take out more money at that time. No, it's not like that. So when you do take money out, make sure you're taking it out for a good reason. Now, a good reason for you may be a different reason for somebody else. A vacation that you haven't had in 30 years may be an absolutely terrific reason to take money out of your house. But for most people, it's taking that money out for either a rainy day fund, medical issues, college fund, maybe you want to invest in an investment property. All these are great reasons to do a refinance in today's market. I want to tell you that real estate is flat right now. Inventory is rising right now, and rates are rising as well. Jerome Powell came out and told us all a couple days ago that guess what? The economy is booming, so we're going to keep raising rates. Also, what he said is, I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do in the future. He did this by, for the last 10 years, since the recession happened. Now, we call it a recession, but everybody knows what exactly it was. It was a scare the blankers out of me. That's what it was. And I was scared at the time, and I was thinking that the world might collapse because what had happened was the entire backbone of the industry of the U.S. economy, the mortgages that were obviously not great, were all coming due because they were all fraud and they were all fraudulent. So as it comes in relation to that and how it relates to what's going on today, let me just tell you, the mortgages are pretty secure today, although I must be honest with you, I've had some reason to challenge that assumption. There was an alert gone out by Fannie Mae, and it alluded to some fraud that was in the industry and continues in California. Now, I don't know if it's in Nevada, I don't know if it's in Utah, I don't know if it's wound its way down to Florida, Illinois, or some of the other states that have historically had some issues with delinquent loans and fraud in their loans. But it came down to a couple things, and those things were about employment. Can you verify the employment? Some of the loans out there, as everyone knows, don't require tax returns, which are the only real way that you can make sure that the amount of income that someone says they are getting through an employer really happens, because they have to declare that on their taxes, or they get a W-2 that declares it on their taxes. If you get a tax return from somebody, you know that income is pretty justifiable and justified because it's on their taxes. The IRS looks at it, and that's what they're paying money on. But a lot of loans out there right now, especially in the non-QM section, do not require that particular verification from either the mortgage lender or the broker or the bank that looks at the loan. Non-QM loans are traditionally based on equity. Now, somebody says, well, if you got 25% equity in, what does it matter? Well, I'll tell you what it matters. The lender who takes that particular loan, funds that loan, has it on its books, doesn't always hold on to that loan. I would say 80 to 85% of that, they sell it off to somebody, whether it's a sovereign fund, which is an international fund, whether it's a hedge fund, somebody in New York, whether it's an insurance company, whether it's a number of different ways that funds get purchased off the books of a particular lender, whether it's Malibu Funding. And by the way, thank you, Malibu Funding, for sponsoring the show each and every week. NMLS number is 79620. But those particular loans that are purchased off the line by a particular investor, maybe not the guy who or the gal who is doing the loan per se, if those loans are bad, those loans get called, even with 25% down. Now, the recent loans we're talking about with Freddie Mac or Fannie Mae, these had employment issues, meaning that the employer could not be verified. If they had tax returns, of course, that never would have happened. Now, at Malibu Funding, we employ a product that kind of checks that. And a couple other companies do that as well. Franklin American does it. A number of other companies in the industry check to make sure that the employment is verified. Not just what they call a verification of employment, a VOE, which is just a document faxed over to somebody on a list, and then a phone call be made by either the loan officer or the investor in that particular loan. All of that can be fraudulently done, and apparently that's what happened in Southern California and had spread to Northern California. And as I said, I don't know if it's gone to other states, but if it has, well, this is a problem in the industry. So within the scope of what we do at Malibu Funding is we try to fund loans for people who need housing. And if you're out there right now and you actually need a loan, you need refinance, you need to take some money out, you've got some real issues, real problems, or some real opportunities out there in the marketplace. There are some left. As I said, real estate has flattened. There are some opportunities in San Bernardino and Riverside right now for people who from the last recession still haven't climbed out of the hole they're in. They still owe more than the property is worth. There's still short sales in the marketplace. There are still foreclosures in the marketplace, albeit a lot less than there were. I mean, our foreclosure rate right now is about 1.3, 1.4% nationally. Locally, in certain pockets, it's higher. But if you're looking for an opportunity and you do need that money taken out of your house, understand some of the pressures going on in Southern California having to do with fraud. Now, I'm not saying that this is widespread, but it is out there. And anybody who's listening who has been a part of it or who knows somebody who's been a part of it, forewarning. People are coming out for you. And by the way, they gave me a few calls too, just because we have had some issues with loan officers and some loans that we've done in the past that possibly, quite possibly, could be in that realm. Now, if you're out there again and you're thinking of doing anything like that, rethink it, please. There are ways to get loans done. There are ways now with the non-QM world, and there are ways by which you can use your business bank accounts, your business. You can add certain borrowers to your loan in order to qualify. It's just easier in this particular environment. Reason being is that refinances overall are down, really down. And if you look at the refinances as a terms of overall business production over the last 2.5 to 3 years, we're probably seeing 50% of the refis we saw 3 years ago. Now, obviously, that's a function of rate. Rates just went up this week. As I was talking about Jerome Powell, he's saying the economy is just swimming. And let's go over the rates here in our News to Use section just for you so that you have an idea where we are. And this is basically the rates as we have averaged them out over a number of, actually I'm not doing it, it's the great site that we go to, Mortgage News Daily, and we really want to thank Matthew Graham and the people over there. Matt's the CEO over there, or actually the Chief Operating Officer. And he's been on the show once, and really appreciate the a number of statistics and articles that they put out each and every week. 30-year fixed rate, 4.75% to 4.875%. So we're not quite at 5%, but I believe we will soon be. Our FHA loans are still at 4.5%. Great deal. All these loans are still really excellent deal when you're taking in terms of the last 50 years. Of course, the last 4 years, no. But if you're thinking that a 5% rate on anything is going to tip the balance of whether you can buy a house or not, rethink. Visit a professional. Call me on the phone, 888-713-2929. Let's go through it. Let's talk about what you can and can't qualify for. If you legitimately know that and how you can get to where you need to do in order to get the type of loan you need, either on a refinance or on a purchase. Purchase loans right now are probably 70% of the market. And there are many loan companies out there willing to lose money to get your loan. I don't know if you know this, but 80% of the market is right now losing money on each and every loan, about $130 to $145 per loan. Why is that? Compliance, really. compliance and the regulatory aspect and the cost of the loan. I'll go through it one day for you. It's boring, but just so you understand, it's not the greedy mortgage broker, the greedy bank, the greedy anything. Everybody at those places needs a job, and everybody there is getting paid. So that's why the loan per cost is actually negative on most of these loans. Anyway, I'm Jeff Barton. I'm your host for the what are we? We're the mortgage, I don't even know what show. I was about to say the Las Vegas Real Estate Show, but of course that's not it. Anyway, I'm Jeff Barton, your host for the Mortgage Show, and we'll be right back.
You're listening to The Mortgage Voice with Jeff Barton. We'll be right back with more in just a moment. For more information on today's topic, email Jeff Barton at info@malibufunding.net. Now, back to The Mortgage Voice with your host, Jeff Barton.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jeff Barton, your voice in the mortgage industry. 888-713-2929. That's the telephone number. Pick up the phone and give us a call. If you want to email us, of course, it's Jeff, what is it? It's info@malibufunding.net. That's what it is. And, of course, we're on YouTube. Just go to YouTube. You can look up my name, Jeff Barton, real estate voice, and you get about 150 videos there from the different shows that we're doing. I really appreciate the response that we're getting too. My Twitter handle is @Jeff6493. I know you're not going to remember all this stuff, but it's just part of what we try to do at the beginning of each segment, or at least during the show, to let people know that you can reach us, and we're trying to reach you with the message of what we're doing, both here at Malibu Funding, Inc., and again, thank you for sponsoring the show, Malibu Funding, and what we're trying to do at the Mortgage Voice. With us today, back again, is Ed Peisner. Ed Peisner is the I guess you're the CEO, is it, of Organization for Social Media Safety? Is that right, Ed?
Yeah, Jeff. I guess you'd consider me the founder.
The founder. Okay. No, that's fine. And, of course, this all stems from the incident. Now, you've been on a number of times talking about your son who was attacked viciously through a social media, really, I guess they were trying to gain people to look at them on social media, and your son was randomly attacked. How is Jordan doing, by the way?
Jordan's on the road to recovery. It's been 16, almost 17 months now, and, he's got a long way to go. Yeah. But we're on the right path, and that's what counts. No. Emotionally, I think the emotional healing, I think, is going to take longer than the physical, I think.
Of course, this is trauma. This kind of trauma lasts a lifetime, and I'm so sorry. I hate violence in any form, and certainly against children, and particularly this kind of randomness just seems to affect not only everybody, but obviously him. So I wish him the best, as always, being a father myself. Sure, no problem, Ed. Now, I want to shift gears just slightly for the audience who's listening. This Organization for Social Media Safety, now, what is it about, and what are you doing?
We formed it to really try to become the nation's first truly independent social media watchdog and consumer protection organization. Right. To make social media safe for everyone, not just kids, but adults. What started out as us just working on these, we got a law passed to fight the recording of a crime, for notoriety purposes. Right. We're now expanding into cyberbullying, violence in general, like my son, sexual harassment, human trafficking, hate speech, propaganda, everything we see happening in the world of social media. There are no guidelines right now. There's no watchdog. There's no consumer protection agency out there to work on this, and our kids are the ones that I care most about. Yep. I mean, obviously, I want it safe for everybody, but I go to schools now, Jeff, everywhere, and I talk to kids, thousands of kids. I was just at another high school on Friday and spoke to 2,000 children, and they're walking around with these phones in their hand with all this power. There's no guidelines. Right. It's willy-nilly. Whatever goes, goes. It's, so I go to school. I tell them what happened to my son. I paint a vivid picture. I try to get empathy and compassion back into their lives. So there's someone holding them accountable for what happens in the world of social media and the real world. Recently we've seen, big companies like Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg,
Some of the other larger social media companies come out and try to defend whatever policies they have about sharing information, selling information, but never is there any hint that perhaps they should get on board with some kind of guidelines about how to behave online or how to interact or what to do if something, is amiss in any kind of social media interaction, like no way to complain or nothing. There should be, and I'm thinking, this is probably the push, is to try to get companies like this on board, or at least in the discussion of what to do, because they're such a powerful force.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have an advisory council which is made up, it really is made up of members of Congress, legislators, school board members, educational experts, technology experts, social workers, media experts, and people from those companies that you just mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
We want to have this advisory board, so we're all putting our brains together to figure out what to do. The problem is the companies you mentioned, they've all monetized these things now.
Yep.
They're making billions of dollars.
That's right.
So they're getting rich off of addicting our children to social media. And when there's something called not legally, I guess, when there's a clinical term called Facebook and social media depression,
mm-hmm.
that's
a serious deal. Yep.
Yeah, that really concerns. When suicide is the third killer amongst teens in our country, the number 3 killer, that concerns me.
Mm-hmm.
And, I won't stop until I've made a little dent, a change. I've helped a child. I've affected them. I've reached them. And,
yep.
That's sort of the goal of our organization and what I'm trying to do.
Well, reaching out to other organizations or people who are obviously vested as you are in this, how successful have you been so far? I mean, where does it stand currently?
Hey, listen, we've had some moderate success. We do have people on our advisory board. We're 18 months in.
Right.
This is brand new to us.
Oh, to everybody.
And social media is brand new to the world.
Yep.
But our organization, we are a true 501c3. We have the first law in the country passed by Governor Brown last year for social media violence. We are now steamrolling ahead. It's all grassroots. We're looking for funding from all these companies because right now it's out of my pocket. Everything we do is donations, and I go out to schools and talk to the kids. It's all on my dime, and
yep. Well, all this, what you're talking about, and the need for funding. Okay, therein lies the root of probably all of the problems with any of these.
Yeah.
Companies that want to get involved with you would probably want to steer the direction of what you're trying to do, right? So your independence is as important as the funding, and how you're going to balance that. I mean, I know that's political and gets way away from social media and what you were trying to do to educate people, but therein lies the problem of trying to expand what you're doing, right?
Exactly. It's very difficult.
Right.
It's very difficult. And a lot. We want to leverage our expertise so that we'll have a way to develop technology that'll provide, quote unquote, real-time protection for social media-related threats. So we want to be an incubator with our advisory councils and all the stuff we're doing, but also have a technology piece where we could maybe develop some apps or some I don't know what you would call them, apps for lack of a better word, that might help to keep kids safe on social media. Things to help with their addiction to their phones. I see it at these schools. They walk around like zombies.
Yep. Yeah, it's really actually I do it all the time, and I'm constantly complaining, and I'll walk by people. Now, this is because I'm an old guy, but I'll walk by people and just say, hey, what are you doing? And they don't even look up. It's like,
no, they
don't even hear you.
I give some shirts away, and my shirt that I give to them, it says, think before you click on the backside.
I like it. I saw it on your website.
Thank you.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, and on the front, it's got 2 eyeballs, and it says, look up.
Right.
Because I try to tell the kid, look up.
Right.
The world is out here, not in the palm of your hand.
Yeah, I don't know where it's headed. I am afraid for these kids because a lot of them just can't figure out how to, do anything other than look in that phone. Listen, we got about a minute left. Ed, could you shout out your phone number, maybe a way for people to get involved and help you out with either donations or some information?
They could always go to our website, which is www.ofsms, so for Organization for Social Media Safety.org, ofsms.org. There is a donate button right there on the homepage. They're welcome to email me, ed@ofsms.org, at any time if they want me to come out to their schools. And then, of course, they could always reach me on my phone, 818-335-7543.
Ed, thanks very much. Once again, I love having you on because you're socially aware as well as doing something about it. It's one thing to be a pontificator, but it's another thing to dig in and really get out there and deliver the message. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Jeff.
Okay, thank you. And I'm Jeff Barton. I'm your voice, your mortgage voice, and we'll be right back. Bye.
You're listening to The Mortgage Voice with Jeff Barton. We'll be right back with more in just a moment. For more information on today's topic, email Jeff Barton at info@malibufunding.net. Now, back to The Mortgage Voice with your host, Jeff Barton.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jeff Barton, your voice in the mortgage industry. 888-713-2929. That's a telephone number. If you pick up the phone and give us a call, we can help you with all kinds of questions that you probably have about your mortgage. If you're a first-time buyer out there, or maybe you're a seasoned buyer, there's always a new question, a new program, something that you haven't thought of. Maybe your financial condition is different, or maybe the company that you're dealing with or the broker that you're talking to isn't that understanding of your particular situation. In any event, we can try to help you do that. The show is broadcast on KCAA and KMET in the Inland Empire, as well as K-Tahoe up in the Tahoe region of Nevada and California. I want to thank those terrific people in San Bernardino and Riverside and up in Tahoe who let us put the show on their particular stations. Thank you very much. We enjoy our audience. We've been doing this for about 5 years now, and we seem to reach a new and exciting level of entertainment as well as information each and every year that we're on. So I do appreciate it. We do bring guests to the show, as everybody knows, from different walks of life, different types of companies. And this next guest is his first time on the show is Anthony Aleva, and he is with AFR, American Financial Resources, a good company. We've done business with them for a number of years. Anthony, sorry for the long-winded intro, but hi, how are you?
Hi, thanks, Jeff. I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
And thank you very much for being on. Tell us a little bit about AFR and what kind of programs you guys are hot on right now.
Well, AFR is a national wholesale lender. They've been around for over 20 years, so they're very well seasoned. They have over 25 different loan programs, but some of the specialty programs that AFR offers that a lot of competitors out there don't have, such as the renovation loans, your FHA 203K, your Fannie Mae home style renovation, your VA renovation loan, the one-time closed construction to perm loan, which we offer through FHA, VA, and USDA. And, of course, they're very well known for their manufactured housing home loans, which we do through conventional Fannie Freddie, FHA, VA, and USDA. One of the latest programs that we just came out with a few months ago is a down payment assistance program, which is available nationwide. So it's very unique, unlike other down payment assistance programs that are restricted on income limitations or certain cities or certain demographics.
Right.
AFR offers the DPA Advantage, and it's exclusive to AFR, so there's no one else offering this program. And it opens up multi-level opportunity for borrowers to become eligible for this. So it's not only income limit driven or first-time homebuyer limit driven or type of employment driven. It also opens up the door for anyone who's ever volunteered at like their local church or the Red Cross or their kid's soccer team or their kid's school. At any time in their lifetime, if they've ever volunteered, they're automatically eligible for this program. So it makes it very unique. It's very popular. Realtors really love this program for people, especially if they do need that down payment assistance. It is done through an FHA loan program, so they got to qualify just like a regular FHA loan. And then AFR is the actual administrator of the 2% grant that is given on this program, and it's a fully forgivable grant. There's no silent second, and that's it in a nutshell. It's a really simple program, and we are really blowing the doors off with that one.
Hey, let's drill down a little bit on that. Give me some of the qualifications for that kind of loan. I had not heard about the program. I don't know where I've been. Must have been under a rock, but if you could just tell me a little bit more about it, I appreciate that.
Okay, no problem. Well, like I said, it's an FHA program, so as long as it's, as long as they qualify, 96.5, you run it just like you would a regular FHA loan. We actually go down to a 580 FICO score, so that's our cap as far as the FICO score requirement is for this FHA loan.
Right.
So typically, if they have a 580 FICO, and you would input this scenario in the desktop originator or a desktop underwriter, and you would input it. The other, as long as you put it in as specifically for the 2% grant, gift funds is what we're calling it. That's how you label it in your 1003 and you label it in the DU. And then the borrower is only required to bring 1.5% down of their own money, which actually could be gift funds as well, by the way, just so you know.
Right.
So they could actually get those as gift funds. So technically they can come in with zero money down and qualify. But the only catch is it's got to be an approved eligible, and the max DTI, which is your debt-to-income ratio, is maxed at 48.99 on this program.
Okay, so it's a little different than a normal FHA loan, which could be a little bit higher, right, on the DTI?
That's correct. Yes, that's correct. For example, we have no overlays or restrictions on debt-to-income ratio on a standard FHA loan, but on this particular grant program, we do have that cap at 48.99.
Okay, very well. This is a terrific program. I know that there is so much call for it, and most of these DPA, whether it's Cal HAFA here in California or a number of other cities have their own, it's all localized. This is the first national program I've really come to understand is out there.
That's correct. That's what makes it so unique. And, of course, the multi-level eligibility requirements are what make it very unique as well.
Yeah, how does that work in terms of volunteer anytime? I mean, I understand that, yeah, that's a criteria, but you're almost saying how do you document any of that stuff? I mean, if I volunteered
I'm glad you asked, and we have a simple solution for that, because we actually have a little form that's called the Down Payment Assistance Application. And on that form, there's a box. They either check that they're a first-time home buyer, or they check the box that says they're either employed as like a firefighter, EMT, nurse, doctor, military, or retired from any type of public service. Or, in that same paragraph, it says, or volunteered at Red Cross or similar, like I said, a church or food pantry, anything like that. So if they've ever volunteered, they just check that box. And they sign it and date it, and that's all the proof or documentation that we're requiring. Is a simple, so it's kind of like the code of honor type of thing. We're just taking people's word for it. That's it. It's really that simple.
That great program. Obviously, there's a lot of people out there right now with rates rising could use help in the down payment, so we're going to start to push it out to our loan officers as well. I appreciate that. Tell us a little bit about the market. Where do you think we're heading, both in the rates and in terms of the availability of programs?
Well, as we all know, the Fed has risen rates again. I think it was yesterday. So we haven't seen that hit our market yet, although we anticipate we will see some adjustments. I don't think we're going to see some huge adjustments in the pricing right now, because we're into the fourth quarter of the year. So I don't think we're going to see much. Now, going into next year, I think we're going to see a little bit of increase in the pricing, in the rates.
Right.
We may see a little bit here in the near future, but nothing major. But coming into next year and the next quarter, we're definitely going to see an increase. So, being prepared for that, AFR is always prepared for ups and downs in our industry, and that's kind of why we offer a whole host of loan programs so that we can help our partners, such as your company, sustain and stay in the business, where we do manufactured home loans and other type of renovation type of loans, so that you can expand your lending capabilities and kind of stay surviving in this industry until things balance out.
Now, the manufactured home, this is a fixed foundation prefab home, really, what they used to call them.
Yeah, well, we used to call them mobile homes, right? Everyone
I see.
thinks of a mobile home, but it's actually, we've changed that terminology years ago, and we consider that a manufactured home. So it's a manufactured home, meaning it comes in two pieces on a trailer truck, right? It's in two pieces. They marry the two pieces together there on the land, and then they set it down on a fixed foundation.
Right.
And as long as it's done in that fashion and it's built after June 15th, 1976 or later, then that's the main qualification for conventional or FHA, VA, and USDA financing.
Now, do you guys, do you go out and do the appraisals yourself? I know these kind of manufactured homes are difficult to appraise, especially the older ones.
No, everything is done through your regular AMC, and they
Okay.
order the appraisal, and then the appraisals go out and do their job. And let me tell you, AFR is the largest manufactured home lender in the United States as far as conventional loans with Fannie, Freddie,
Right.
and FHA, VA, USDA. So we don't see any issues coming up when we know that that's a property that we can do. So if you have loan officers that need information on that or want to verify stuff, they can always reach out to me directly, and I can help them how to identify a property that is not going to be any issue.
Shout out your phone number, will you? Or way to people who are listening now can get a hold of you?
Yeah, my direct cell phone number is area code 951-210-9630, and I accept either phone calls or text.
Great. Hey, Anthony, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I want to have you back on soon just to tell us a little bit more about what's going on over at AFR. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you very much. And I'm Jeff Barton, your host for The Mortgage Voice, your voice in the mortgage business. We'll be right back.
You're listening to The Mortgage Voice with Jeff Barton. We'll be right back with more in just a moment. For more information on today's topic, email Jeff Barton at info@malibufunding.net. Now, back to The Mortgage Voice with your host, Jeff Barton.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jeff Barton, your voice in the mortgage industry. 888-713-2929 is the telephone number. If you pick up the phone and give us a call, yes, we can talk to you, but more frankly, what's going to happen is you're going to call, you're going to leave a message because you can't get through, and I'm going to call you back. Now, if you have a question, if you have something that you need answered right away, and you do leave a message, I'll call you right back. However, if you have a question, write down the phone number, 888-713-2929, because you know what? You're going to have a question later on after you hear all the different guests on the show and the information we have. And if you have the phone number handy, you can call. Now, we've had many guests on the show who have had questions asked of them after the show airs. So you won't be the first and you won't be the last, but just make sure you keep the phone number, or you can email us, info@malibufunding.net, in order for you to get your questions answered. We have great updates from around the country all the time, whether it's from Georgia or North Carolina, up in Washington, certainly here in California, and from Nevada. Once again, we have a terrific guest on the show. She's been on the show several times. Alexis Young, how are you? Alexis?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. And you work for Keller, right?
Yes.
Keller Williams, right? Yeah, I knew that. How is business out there, by the way, right now?
Business is good. We have a stable market. It's cooled off a little bit towards the end of the summer. Now we're in October. We're here with fall. Gone with the weather, of course.
Yeah.
And our median home price is $295,000 right now, and our median price for the local condos and townhomes we're at $169,950.
Hey, listen, if I've got $100,000, can I buy something in Las Vegas?
Yeah, we still have plenty of condos that are going for $80,000 to $90,000. Some are, $100,000, $125,000.
Right.
There's really something for everyone. It's very area specific. We are small, but we're very area specific. So you have to be realistic when you're buying. But there's a lot of room still for a lot of investors, and always cash is king. We are still competitive, but not as bad as we were a couple months back.
Now, when you're out showing properties, well, first of all, what do you like to do best? Do you like to show or do you like to sell properties? I know they say you have to list to exist and buyers are liars, but what do you particularly like when you're dealing with customers?
I like to show and sell. So basically, I have a little conversation. We interview each other, and I kind of get a good feel for what they're looking for, whether it's buying or selling, because everybody is really specific, and not every transaction is always the same. Everybody is different, and everybody has different wants and needs.
Right.
So basically, I like to send a good selection of what they're looking for that matches as closely as possible to their description. And usually when we go out, we look at their top 5 homes that match their description, and we're always going to walk away with your top 3. You always have a number 1 that we're going to try for, of course.
Right.
But by the time we go out and by the time we write the offer, they could have already accepted an offer. So timing is everything, and it's always good to have a plan B.
Do you think that the market is so hot right now that if you walk into a house that you like, you have to write an offer right then, or is there time to consider it all right now?
I would say you really need to gauge how long it's been on the market. You need to gauge the area, and you need to gauge the comparable prices as well. Because some of our areas, like Henderson or Summerlin, even areas in the Southwest, they're the most wanted properties, and everybody goes to those locations first. And so if you see something that you really like, chances are somebody else really likes it too.
Right.
So timing is everything, and I always tell everybody, when you're ready, be ready to pull the trigger.
Now, when you get people qualified for a mortgage, what do you tell them they have to do?
Well, you need to have your last 2 years of your tax returns prepared.
Right.
That is most important. We don't want to get to that point and you don't have 1 year, or you're missing, or you fudged part of your tax return. I hate to say that, but that makes all the difference. And don't think for a second that you're going to be able to get away with it. I actually have been involved with a client that tried to commit mortgage fraud.
Oh,
no one was aware of it until we went to close, and it obviously showed up, and that obviously is going to throw the whole transaction off. And
of course.
There's no way I can save it. There's no way the lender can save it. And you just lost your earnest money. And thankfully, I was able to get their earnest money back. But
you're a pretty good agent.
Yeah, that doesn't happen.
No, doesn't happen at all.
That doesn't happen 99.9% of the time.
Right, exactly right. Now, what do you tell a buyer like that who's trying to commit fraud? I mean, obviously they're hurting not only themselves, nobody gets paid, but they're obviously hurting the industry as a whole.
Right. Well, obviously, if they're trying to commit fraud, they're not going to come clean and let me know beforehand, right?
Right, of course.
So we always try to vet everyone. And that's why we ask a lot of questions, and it's not just for our safety and precaution and time, but it's also your time and your money and your energy. And, you know, some people, they just like going through the motions, and they like to cancel and back out. There are people out there like that. I don't know why they like that, but they do. And it just takes time to really gauge if someone is really interested or not.
Now, we've got more properties on the market in Las Vegas today than we did in June, right? So where do you think we're going to be in January?
Well, hopefully we're going to get a little bit more inventory on the market.
Right, I agree.
Each month, but it's going to take 6 months for us, or 6 months of inventory to turn this ship around. And I don't really see that happening anytime soon. If anything, we're just moving in a positive direction where there's a better chance for more people to be able to obtain a property versus don't even think about this property because that offer is not going to work, you know. And I hate telling people like that, but what we were dealing with this past year, if you don't offer at least the list price or above, thinking you really have to come in with some extra cash, then you might as well not even bother.
Right, exactly. And I think with the rising of the inventory currently, and I think it will continue to rise, we'll see what happens after the election. But if in fact we have, Republicans, and I know out in Nevada we've got a couple of big elections for the governor and for obviously the senator, as well as a couple of the local representatives. If we get a change in Nevada as to who represents what, we may see some slowing down of the economy, which again would free up more inventory. So hopefully, we can keep the economy strong and at the same time get more inventory. That's what I'm looking for.
Well, I think our economy is going to be much different than the rest of the country. Obviously, California, they're our neighbors. Everybody, 33% of our new of all of our new residents in Nevada are from California.
Right.
And not just LA, San Francisco, San Diego. You can get a whole lot more, and you'll have a nice savings as well if you move from California to Las Vegas. We are expanding rapidly.
Yep.
Our job growth is up, and we're not slowing down. We actually have quite a few projects going right now, and it's creating a lot of jobs.
Alexis, could you? We're up against I apologize for that. We're up against a clock here. Could you shout out your phone number for people who want to get a hold of a great real estate agent out there in Las Vegas?
Sure. It's 702-704-3135.
Thank you very much. Again, apologize for interrupting. We just we run out of time, that's all. And,
no worries.
Thank you very much for coming on the show once again.
Thank you. Have a great day.
And you too. And that's Alexis Young from Keller Williams. I'm Jeff Barton, your host for the Mortgage Voice and your voice in the mortgage industry. And we'll be right back.
You're listening to The Mortgage Voice with Jeff Barton. We'll be right back with more in just a moment. For questions or comments, send emails to info@malibufunding.net. Now, back to The Mortgage Voice with your host, Jeff Barton.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jeff Barton, your voice in the mortgage industry. 888-713-2929. That's the telephone number. Pick up the phone. Give us a call. Let us know what you need to know about what you need to do. And what I mean by that is you probably want a loan. If you're listening to the show, you know that we can provide answers, solutions, programs, people that you can work with, people that you can call. Anybody that can help you, we try to bring on the show. And that means anything from a decorator down to an escrow company. Obviously, lots of loan people, lots of loan options, companies that come on the air. And once again, we have with us Tomas Trujillo, who's been on the show many times from Loan Stream. We were talking off air about the loan we're currently doing with them. Tomas, how are you?
I'm doing great, Jeff. How are you today?
I'm terrific. Thank you very much. Okay, give us a description as to where we are with rates versus programs versus, scarcity of loans in the industry.
Rates are up there. Rates, they've obviously gone up for a little while ago, and we don't see them coming down anytime soon. But that's okay because programs are back now. We have programs we haven't seen in a good 10 years. I know that you remember doing these kind of loans with me when we were doing NQ loans.
Hey, Tomas, are you on a speaker? Any way you can pick up a handset for me?
Oh, yeah, sure. Let me get off.
Great, thank you. There's just a little bit of an echo on our audience is going, what the heck did he just say? No problem at all. No, tell us about the programs, the newer programs that are out there offsetting rising rates.
So right now, we have programs that are Alt-A that are called Just Missed programs. We're doing 95% cash out up to $2.5 million.
Okay, and what does that kind of program look like?
Well, I mean, you're looking at an ARM. You can go interest only if you want.
Mm-hmm.
You can go 30-year fixed. Typically, everybody likes to take the ARM because they want to get in and out.
Right.
These programs typically, if you're not showing all your income, if you got a lot of deductions, this is probably where you would go.
Okay, good. So this type of program fits what type of borrower? I mean, you're not looking for an A-paper person who has got a W-2 job. You're looking for somebody who may not necessarily, like you said, show all of their income. Is it a business type of loan where you can use your business bank statements as well?
You can use business. You can use personal bank statements. I do 1 million of these for truck drivers. Truck drivers are my #1 kind of guy for this program.
Wow. You know,
Well, I mean, you know,
I just saw recently that they were coming out with different and newer trucks to try to attract truck drivers back to the fleet. They're not going to go to driverless trucks. They're going to go to more automated trucks with drivers in them to monitor what's going on in the systems. I thought that was very interesting. I know you probably saw Elon Musk's new truck, the electric truck that's out there currently. They're test driving it as well.
absolutely. The whole world's changing on us, so we got to change with it.
I know, it's so true, isn't it? Okay, so rising rates, where do you see them? We just had the Fed raise the rate again, which I know doesn't directly affect mortgage rates, but they seem to follow closely behind.
Well, from what I'm understanding, there's going to be another rise. By the end of the year, we're going to have one more lift.
Yep, I agree.
So, you know, I mean, it pretty much is what it is. It's not going to stop us because people got to live, people got to buy, they got to sell. I mean, it doesn't matter where the rates are.
So Loan Stream, you guys have been around a long time, but you do a lot of different types of loans, right?
Well, you can't compete with the big banks, B of A, Chase, Wells Fargo. They run the show.
Right.
So we try and fill those niches where they won't go.
Right.
We'll do the bank sims, the manufactured housing, the CalHAFAs. We'll do all that kind of stuff. That's where we found our safe place.
Now, how does a person qualify for the CalHAFA? And that's a down payment assistance program, right?
That's a down payment assistance where we will give you the down payment, the 3.5%, and we will give you up to 4% of the purchase price for your closing costs. So if we work the numbers right, you don't have to come out with anything. You may even get your down payment back.
Now, how does that work? How does one qualify for a program like that? What are some of the stipulations on that loan?
Well, we're looking for a first-time home buyer. First-time home buyer to us is someone who hasn't had a mortgage in 3 years.
Okay.
640 FICO. We're looking for a full doc borrower. And in some cases, it's an FHA loan, basically. But if you don't qualify, we can always get a non-occupying co-signer. That's something a lot of people don't know.
Well, that means you're using their income to qualify, right?
Correct. They can make $1 million. It doesn't matter because it doesn't go on your side. So you can only make a certain amount of money, and if they make over that kind of money, it doesn't affect you.
Oh.
They don't go on the loan. They go on title only.
Well, I don't. Okay, so explain that. So someone is using a co-borrower for the loan, but they're not on the loan. They're just on title.
Correct.
Okay.
I mean, it's a great concept because if you got a guy who thinking about buying this himself pretty soon, and he doesn't want anything else on his loan, it's perfect for him. He can help out his buddy, and he can get his own loan later on.
No, that's excellent. The only thing you would have to do is disclose the percentage that you owned in a particular property, whether it's 50-50.
You don't own the property.
Well, you're on title.
Well, you're on title, but you're not on the loan. It's not even showing up on your credit report.
That's very odd. Tell me a little bit more. What's this CalHAFA program? You get 4%, up to 4% forgiven, and you can have a co-borrower on there who isn't on the loan but is on title.
Correct. And you can also go conventional.
Oh, this is a terrific loan.
Actually, I'm doing a couple condos right now. If you want to buy a condo, which doesn't qualify for FHA, if it's not FHA approved,
right,
we can just flip you and go conventional with it.
And what are the rates on these? They're all just, what are your rates, by the way, now that I'm thinking about that?
They're going to vary. So it depends on what type of a closing cost program you get.
Right.
They'll vary. So, I mean, you're going to be anywhere from 4.875 on the first, well, actually, I'm sorry, 4.375 on the first, all the way to 5.75 on the first. The second, you don't have a payment, is a deferred payment, and that's only 2.5%. And the third, there is no interest rate. Whatever you borrow, you pay back.
Now, the forgivable portion of the down payment assistance, how much is up to 4%, you said?
Correct.
And how long do you have to hold the property before that is forgiven? Or how many payments do you have to make before that's forgiven?
6.
6 payments?
Well, no. It's not forgiven. When you sell or refi the property, that's when you pay it back.
Oh, I see. So this is a delayed payment program.
Correct, with no payments.
With no payments at all, and it really doesn't affect your DTI at all then?
We don't even count it.
Wow, this is a terrific program. Shout out your phone number for people who are listening right now who want to get a hold of you, because this is, as I say, a great program.
Absolutely. 323-228-5181, or they can always give you a call.
Now, Let's talk about inventory. Have you seen out there, because you deal with a lot of real estate agents, people in the business who give loans to purchases, have you seen the increase in the inventory, as I have?
I have a little bit, not a great amount, but I have a little bit. I'm usually looking more at properties that haven't sold for a little bit.
Okay.
So those are the ones that I see more because they jump on the Calhafas.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think is going to happen when we get to the new year past the elections in terms of both the inventory and the unemployment rate?
I think when people get a little more settled and they're a little more confident, I think we're going to be okay. I think everything will turn around again.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the economy is so strong right now. That's why we're seeing 4 rate hikes this year by the Fed.
Sure, absolutely, absolutely. You see buildings, you see constructions all over the place. I think we're going to be okay. There's a lot more consumer confidence going on.
Now, you do a lot of business out in San Bernardino and Riverside, right?
I do.
Okay.
I do a lot of stuff out there. Actually, a lot of Calhafas, a lot of bank statements, a lot of truck drivers live out there.
You know, you mentioned truck drivers. What other type of a client do you see an increase in loans that you're doing over at LoanStream?
Self-employed borrowers. I do a lot of landscapers. I do people who own mom and pop liquor stores. If you're self-employed, we can do this kind of loan for you.
Okay, so those kind of loans are obviously somebody who's looking for a non-QM product, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, and you do non-QM, you do all kinds of, sort of, as you were saying, you don't necessarily compete with the large banks, but you fill niches that obviously most people can't, who are looking to you, can't go to a large bank and get this type of loan.
Absolutely. Right now, our new product is the ITIN number product.
Right, and explain that quickly. We've got about 40 seconds.
So basically, if you're not a permanent resident and you have an ITIN number, then we can do a loan for you.
Okay, and that's
if you're a DACA, we will look at you as an ITIN.
I see. Okay, so the TIN number, of course, is like a business number, right? I mean, you're here, but you don't have a green card, but you do have a business, and that business number is how you can qualify for the loan.
Correct.
Tomas, thank you very much. Boy, that's a lot of information packed into 10 minutes. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate it.
And I appreciate it, too. And I'm Jeff Barton, your voice in the mortgage industry, and we'll see you next time.
You're listening to The Mortgage Voice with Jeff Barton. For more on today's topic, visit www.malibufunding.net.